Let's take a closer look at links. Last time we learned that a link is an anchor element. href is an attribute. Its value tells the browser where the link points to. A hyperlink is words or an image that take you to a new document, a new section of the current document, or an email address. And when you move a cursor over a link, the arrow turns into a little hand. Links can point to absolute URLs or relative URLs. An absolute URL provides the full URL for the document. For example, http://dacc.nmsu.edu. You would use this type of link to link to someone else's website. Relative URLs describe the path to a document relative to the current document. For example, mypage.html. You would use this sort of link to link to a page on your own website. You should never use absolute paths, for example, something that starts with c:\\. This type of link is specific to your hard drive and may be different when you upload it to a web server and will break. So to link to another website, you use the anchor tag with the href attribute where the value is the URL for the website. For example, this link would link to the Adobe website. Linking to pages in your own website depends on the file structure of your website. To link to a page that's in the same folder, you use the file name. For example, if we want to link from index.html to page2.html, we would use page2.html as the value of the href. To link to a page in a subfolder, you use the folder name / the file name. For example, to link to the index.html page in the subfolder, we would use subfolder / index.html as the value of the href. To link to a page that's in a higher folder, we would use .. / the file name. For example, to link from index page in a subfolder to the index page in the main folder, we would use .. / index.html as the value of our href. To link to a point on the same page, you need to do two things. First, you need to mark the location you want to link to. To do this, we can add an ID attribute to the element we want to link to. Here, we've added an ID attribute with the value dummy-text to an h2. The next step is to add a link that will scroll to that point in the page. You will use the same anchor element, but the href will have a different value. Instead of a file name or URL, you will use a # followed by the value you gave the ID. Here, that's #dummy-text. When a user clicks on this link, they will scroll down the page to the h2 that has been ID'd dummy-text. You can also link to a specific point on another page. To do so, type the normal path or URL to the file, and then follow that with # and then the name of the ID. In this case, index.html #subhead. Index.html must contain an element that has the ID subhead. Otherwise, the link will not scroll to that point on the page. If you want your link to open in a new browser window, use the target attribute. The value _blank will open the link in a new window. Here's an example where the CNN website will open up in a new window. To link to an email address, use the anchor element as well. The href will have a value of mail_to: and then the email address. As you've probably already discovered, it's fairly easy to introduce a mistake into your code. Here are some things to check if your link isn't working. Is the URL correct? Did you spell href right? For an absolute URL, did you include the http://? Did you put the URL in quotes? Is there an equal sign between the attribute and value? Did you forget an opening or closing bracket? Did you forget the close tag for the anchor? Now let's switch our focus to images. Unlike Word or PowerPoint, images are linked, not embedded, on a web page. This means that when you move a web page, you must also move the images. Not all types of images will display on a website. The three formats that we will use are JPEG, GIF, and PNG. You will need to use an image editor to resize or optimize images for the web. Images should be shown in the original aspect ratio. Do not stretch or squish your images. Since a web page is public to the world, you must obey copyright laws. This means that you cannot steal a copyrighted image from another website and put it on your website. The image element uses the IMG tag. It's an empty element, so it ends in a slash. Images are inline elements, so they do not start on a new line. SRC and ALT are required attributes. SRC stands for source and defines the URL or path to an image. ALT provides an alternative description for people who cannot see the picture. It is also good practice to include the width and height of the picture. Adding the path to an image on your own website is very similar to links. You use a relative path like folder-name/file name. To add picture.jpg to our index.html page, you specify the source as images/picture.jpg. This example also includes alt text and width and height attributes. Absolute URLs also work for images. Here, the source is the URL for the image. However, don't forget about copyright laws. You can also link an image. To do so, you would surround an image element with an anchor element. This example links an image to an absolute URL. You can also link an image to a relative URL or an email address. Here are some common mistakes to check for if your image isn't working. Is the path to the image correct? Are the width and the height specified properly? Are there any typos in the element? Are tag and attribute names correct? Do attributes have equal signs and quotes around the values? And are opening and closing brackets typed correctly? Well, that's it for Lesson 2. Thanks for watching.